Stealth aircraft in general come under a lot of criticism regarding their usefulness in the modern battlefield, but the one that has gotten the most criticism out of all of them is the F-35, and this isn't totally unfair. The scale of the program obviously draws a lot of attention, given that while we'll probably see a few hundred of the others, the F-35 is expected to be built in the thousands. What is unfair is the focus critics put on the aircraft's ability in aerial combat. And this isn't to say that the F-35 is actually bad at air-to-air combat or that this mission isn't important. I'm merely arguing that it creates a misunderstanding about what priorities the aircraft was designed around. To clarify things, let's take a look at the weapon types the aircraft has available to it, which in a lot of ways will show you what the aircraft was intended to do. We can break up the arsenal into two categories: missiles intended to shoot down other aircraft for the aerial combat mission, and munitions intended to strike targets on the surface. Between the two categories, there's a remarkable difference in diversity. For the air-to-air mission, only 4 missiles are available, and these are divided into 2 classes. In contrast, the air-to-ground mission is offered a whole pile of different missiles and bombs, and dividing them into classes is much more difficult. What drives the need for so many more air-to-ground weapons is the fact that the F-35 was designed primarily to hunt down any type of ground target, no matter what on the ground was trying to shoot back at it. Now, each of these weapons serves some kind of role within that context, and understanding what the F-35 is capable of requires understanding what this arsenal allows. What drives the unique aspects of each weapon is a set of requirements made by a theoretical battlefield filled with theoretical targets. Warheads differ depending on what the weapon expects to hit, sensors differ depending on what the weapon expects to find, and range differs depending on what is out there trying to fight back. This last aspect is arguably the most important since it deals with the aircraft's survival. To understand range requirements, you need to understand the concept of standoff, and I think this is best explained by using the example of a spear to fight someone with a sword. The idea being that you're able to poke him before he pokes you. And this works the same way with defenses and strike aircraft, albeit at much longer distances. Presumably, the stealthiness of the F-35 will allow it to sneak inside of the enemy's reach without him even realizing it's there, but in the event that this doesn't work quite as well as expected, it's a good idea to have a backup. To make understanding how much standoff is needed, we can simplify the threat of enemy defenses into 3 different environments. The least threatening are permissive environments where the enemy has at most a handful of lightweight systems and no air force to speak of at all. Specialized weapons aren't really needed here, merely a certain degree of caution. In contrast, contested environments are put forward by organized and well-funded militaries that, while limited to less advanced equipment, must be taken seriously. And finally, we have denied environments, which consist of the most heavily defended airspace on the planet, containing advanced integrated air defense systems and potentially hostile stealth fighters. So with these contexts in mind, what weapons can be applied to each environment? The low threat nature of permissive environments allows for what we are going to call direct strike weapons. These are characterized by their short range and relatively low cost, making them well suited for prolonged counterinsurgency and peacekeeping operations, which demand above all else availability and efficiency. However, their short range limits their use in contested environments. This takes us to the second category, glide bombs. To achieve standoff, each bomb is equipped with a set of wings, allowing it to glide using the energy inherent from the launch aircraft. This makes them much more useful against enemy defenses, however, at a much greater cost per unit. You see, in addition to the glide systems, they also carry improved sensors and guidance packages to retain accuracy at these longer ranges. While much more capable than direct strike weapons, glide bombs have one key limitation that hinder their usefulness inside of denied zones. For gliders, altitude is energy, and if the F-35 is forced to launch at low altitudes, say for instance because anti-stealth radar is present, then the glide bombs are going to lose a great deal of their potential range. This forces the aircraft to get closer to the threat and also exposes the glide bomb to a unique element of denied zones, point defense systems. These are anti-air weapons that are designed specifically to shoot down missiles and bombs, particularly those approaching from high angles or at low speed, which in a lot of cases covers glide bombs. To survive in this context, we need to bring in the third and most capable category, cruise missiles. These miniature aircraft are equipped with their own small jet engines that allow them to fly at vastly longer distances even at low altitude. This gives them the ability to outrange even the best of surface-to-air missiles. To get them across these huge distances without requiring external help, they host some of the most advanced navigation and targeting packages available, and are able to autonomously navigate hundreds of kilometers without issue. But this all comes at a cost. Cruise missiles are drastically more expensive than their less complex brothers, with many costing upwards of $1 million each. You see, as the weapons get more capable, they also get more expensive, and thus the great compromise is between cost and capability. Balancing cost and capability isn't the only consideration when it comes to weapon selection, at least for stealth aircraft. You see, the F-35 is built with 10 hardpoints for attaching ordnance, adding up to a hefty 18,000-pound payload. In theory, this allows the F-35 to drag a huge variety of ordnance up with it, but there's a catch. Mounting weapons on the external hardpoints increases its radar signature, potentially ruining its stealthiness. This forces the pilot to rely on the 4 internal hardpoints to remain stealthy, and exacerbating this limit even further, half of the internal hardpoints can only accept air-to-air missiles for self-defense, leaving only 2 for a strike mission. To alleviate this volume limitation somewhat, a certain number of weapons are built with small form factors intentionally, allowing them to be mounted 4 to each hardpoint. While 8 precision weapons like glide bombs is not a bad armament, it pales in comparison to the 24 that could be loaded if stealth wasn't required. Thus, when selecting weapon loadouts, a decision must be made. If stealth must be maintained, then deciding how to use the limited space is essential, and thus an understanding of what capabilities are available and which of those are needed for that particular mission is vital to achieve success. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be following it with a couple more episodes that will go over each individual category of weapons in a lot more detail. If you like this kind of material and any sort of modern military topics, I recommend subscribing to this channel, as this is only the beginning. And I would also like to give a special thanks to Aquila Freedom, who provided a lot of the models that I use in this video, particularly the cruise missiles. Very, very detailed stuff, and if you like those kinds of things, I recommend you check out his profile on ArtStation. Link is going to be in the description. Anyways, any inaccuracies or suggestions, let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Farewell.